Welcome. This is Money Heart, where we explore the emotional side of money. I'm Camille Diaz, and today we're discussing getting over the hurdles. My guest is Mike Wasserman. He's the owner of New Product Creations. Mike, welcome to Money Heart.
Hello, Camille. Thank you. Glad to be here.
Absolutely. Glad to have you. Share with us a little bit about what it is you do and then what you typically experience when your clients are considering developing a new product.
Okay, yeah. So what I do is I help people that are working on ideas. They might be actually working on them or never had worked on them, just had some ideas for something that they want to create, and they just never did anything with them. They might have thought, well, what if I could do this? And they just held themselves back and they didn't do anything with it. So I come in and I help them with getting those products going, get them developed and getting them made into real products.
So we're talking about like physical products, like if I want to make a stand or a chair or a machine that does something, you do that type of thing?
Right. So I have a mechanical engineering background. That's my degree. And so anything that's got mechanical aspects to it, the more mechanical will be more suitable for something that I would do. Chair, I could certainly do a chair. It's just there's nothing moving unless it's like a reclining chair, I guess.
Yeah.
But anything that does something so that I can help to make that thing functional.
Okay.
So yeah, those kind of products.
Very cool. Okay. So when a client comes to you and they've got an idea for a new widget, whatever this product is, what are usually some of the steps? What do you tend to see them struggle with? Because you said they've never developed it before. Kind of what's going on when they get to you?
Yeah, well, they a lot of times it's a problem that they have themselves, something that they're dealing with. They're like, wow, if I could just have this thing, it would help me so much. And so they feel, well, if it could help me, then it certainly would be helpful to more people. And then the more people it would help, the more that they could, broadcast that solution to some more people. So, the thing is, what happens? People get, they're not sure. They don't have that confidence. It's not a small undertaking to pursue one of these projects. Even if something simple, it still takes time and there's going to be investment involved, and there's going to be trial and error, and you still have to deal with all kinds of other people that are going to help you, and all that stuff is work. And it's if they're already occupied with other things, they're going to have to take some of their spare time or some of the time they use for something else, and it's going to have to go towards this project. So that's a big stumbling block. They just can't commit to what it's going to take to get the project working. So that's one big thing. A lot of times,
I love that. The big thing is that they actually have to do work.
Well, that's kind of thing with every kind of goal. It's like, well, I want to lose weight, or I want to stop smoking, whatever it is. It's you want to do it, and then, okay, how do I get there? And there's always some kind of a process involved. And so that's in the case of what I do, there's a process, and all those things take work. But the thing with my thing is, it's a lot of people they're not familiar with the process. They haven't done it before. So they don't even know where to start. They don't know, is this going to be hard? Well, how much is it going to cost? They just really, it's all just kind of a mystery to them. So that's one of the things that happens.
So is that something that you kind of help with, in that when somebody shows up, do they just have something drawn on paper or some printouts of, hey, here's a thing similar and I want to do this? Can you go all the way from that basic to actually getting them through having a product in their hand?
Yes, absolutely. So, and it's really interesting because there's all wide spectrum of situations that I encounter. So there's people that have never done anything with their idea. They just have an idea. And then there's people that are totally at the other end of that, where they have done a lot of work on the thing and they've gotten it pretty far. Maybe they did their own tinkering and they created something that it almost does what they want, or even it does what they want. But now it's time to get it to market. And now they realize there's a lot more involved. There's finding out who's going to make this thing in volume so that it can be done at an economical price. Where to sell it? Are they going to sell it themselves? Are they going to go through some kind of a retail outlet or something like that? Or maybe they just want to sell the whole thing off to another company and just let them take it over from there. So there's several options there.
So do you think that it's kind of that unknown factor of just having so many things that they haven't ever had to deal with before that stops people from making this decision of, yeah, I'm going to make a thing?
Yeah, absolutely. And, so I've been, an engineer my whole career. So I've been through these projects many, many times through as an employee of companies and then as an independent doing these projects for clients. So I've got a lot of experience with that. So I know what it's like all through it, from beginning to end. And so yeah, I can definitely, get them more familiar with what's involved. And the one thing that I think is really helpful, and a lot of people don't want to do it because it's just one more thing to do, but the thing at the very beginning is figure out, is there a demand for this thing that you think is such a great idea? Let's say if you have an idea, you think it solves a problem for you, okay, that's great. Well, how many more people are like you that have that same problem? If you knew that there was something that you created and there was 1 million people that would buy it, if they knew about it, if it was available, you'd be really sure that, I need to get this thing created and out to the market. But if you don't know that, you're going to be very cautious about it, right? So I highly recommend people do that research. Find out if there's a demand for this thing. And right nowadays, there's so many sources of finding out that answer. Just look on Amazon, go into Amazon and see, is this thing that you want to do, is there one already out there? And if there is, that's okay. That doesn't mean you can't do it. It just means that now it actually is a way to reinforce that it is a good idea because you see other people have done this thing and then you're like, well, oh, okay, they've already done it, but that doesn't mean I can't make one as well and make it mine, make it my own style or add features to it or all kinds of possibilities. So
I like that idea. That's a really great point, because I think when most of us are thinking about creating something that is ours, whether it's a product or a show or a book or whatever, we get hung up on the idea that I have to make something that's completely new. And if I don't make something that's a brand new invention that no one's ever seen before, I just can't make it. It's not worth it. And yet you might be able to improve on something or put it in a different way that connects better with people or with a particular group than the products that came before. So great point of, it's okay to take that leap and rework something that's been done if you can do it a different way, or you can make it a little bit unique, make it yours, rather than, well, people have already made pie, so I'm never making pie again,
Right.
Maybe you combine two new fruits, who knows?
Right, yeah. I mean, there's tons of things that are very similar out there, and that it doesn't mean that there's no more to be done in that category. There's there's always things to do that you can make it better. Whether you want to reduce the cost, you want to make a higher quality one, or whatever it is. There's so different sizes depending what you're talking about. Maybe there's only one size of some whatever it is. And what about big people? Why can't they need a special one for them? So
right.
Yeah, there's unlimited options for making variations of things.
That's a really beautiful thought. There are unlimited options for making new things. They don't have to be completely new. They can be a revised, reinvented, slightly different version of something that exists. Just make it better for a particular audience. That's really cool. I love that. Love that idea. What other sort of stumbling blocks do you see people coming across once they get past that, okay, I'm actually going to do it? Because I feel like the fear of just not knowing what to do is one of them. What else do people typically encounter?
Well, another thing is like they're just very protective of it. And they think, well, I need help with this thing, but I can't share it with anybody. Once somebody sees it, they're going to steal it from me and it'll be gone. It won't be mine anymore. And
Right.
so they just don't want to talk about it to anybody. And then they're like, oh, I got to get a patent on this thing. And, you know, patents are a big deal. That's a whole nother thing that you can pursue. That's going to take a lot of work. And then it may affect you in terms of not wanting to go forward. So, so just the idea of having a partner, having more than one partner to help you with the parts that are outside of your scope of, you know, expertise or just amount of time that you have to pursue it.
Right.
So I try to encourage people, don't worry about, you know, somebody stealing it. You're better off actually sharing it, and then you'll get more help than the risk of it being stolen is such a small thing versus the benefits of getting help to get this thing out there.
Yeah.
So that's
What a cool idea of, and you're right, you know, somebody has an idea for something, they're like, oh, can't tell anybody about this idea, it's going to be taken. But once it's out there, what's to stop somebody else from doing it after you've got it out there anyway and out competing yours? So it totally makes sense. Yeah. Share with a couple trusted people and get help making it a reality.
Sure. Well, you know, like we were just talking about how all the work it takes to make something happen, that's enough of a deterrent for people that think they're going to steal your idea. They are going to, even if they decide to steal your idea, let's just say they did. Once they start looking at what it takes to make it happen, they're going to be like, oh man, this is going to take a lot of work. And that can prevent them from stealing it right there.
Right. Yeah, because you've already probably gotten so far down the path that for them to now start at the beginning and get up to where you are, they're just like, that's already out there, too hard.
Sure. And they just, you know, if the person who originated it, they're very motivated. They love that idea. That's why, you know, they want to make it happen. Everybody else, they might love it too, but they're going to be less likely to be so passionate about it than that original person. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I don't think that's a big deal. It's a real risk. I think it's one of those perceived risks.
Yeah, great point about perceived risk versus an actual risk. You know, that's just thinking, well, somebody's going to steal this, I can't talk to anybody. It's like, probably not a lot of people paying attention to what you're doing at this time, you know, until you become some big giant company, and then it matters. And but then you'll have the resources to deal with that. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And the other thing is like money. There's no question. It's going to take money to make something happen. So yes, that is a real issue that, you know, you have to figure out how to deal with it, how to fund your project. So, you know, there's different ways to handle that too, but I think it's a matter of you have to be okay with spending some money on this thing and just kind of as you go forward. And like I said, that first step you do, if you do that research and you know there's going to be people interested in this thing, that'll really help to feel like it's worth it to keep going. So as you're going into this thing and you start having to spend money to you know, whether you want for hiring me or to, you know, buy materials or to whatever it is, even doing the research, it takes, you know, if you're going to do like heavy duty research, you might have to get some help from somebody. So yeah, it does take some money, and then we, you know, if that's what it is, we're gonna go and figure out how to get the money. There's people out there that can help with that. I mean, the business world wants you. If you have something that people are gonna want, business people want that, and you got to find those resources, but they're out there.
Mm-hmm. So that's a great point. So if you really want to make this happen, it's possible to find funding or save up enough to get a good start and that kind of thing. And is that part of the initial process of researching this and figuring out what you're going to be able to sell it for and if it makes sense to put in the upfront money?
Yeah. Well, like I said, I think you should do it in stages so that you're kind of like working towards that overall goal of getting it introduced. And if you do it that way, it's kind of it's not as daunting of a. You're not like saying, okay, I'm going to need $50,000 from you to make this thing happen. No, you do the first part, and you kind of that'll tell you what to do next. You'll have a better idea. Okay, well this looks. You might get stopped right away because you find out that, like I say, if you want to copy something, you're certainly that's certainly an option. But what if you were like, oh, if this thing isn't the only, I got this great idea, and then you do the research and you find out, oh yeah, it's been made 100 times before, and then you're like, oh well, then if everybody's if it's already been made before, I don't want to make it. Then never mind. You might decide that. I'm not. That's not necessarily the conclusion you could reach, but it could be.
Mm-hmm.
So every time you learn something new from your process, from going through all these steps, um, that'll help you kind of decide what to do next. Say you pursue getting the thing made as a prototype, and we start looking at it and we see, does it work? And maybe it doesn't quite work. It doesn't quite do what you thought it would. And then we say, okay, can we keep working on it and make it, see if it'll work, make it better, whatever that is. Keep on working on that little thing that's preventing it from working right. And sometimes that's not that hard. Sometimes it is hard. And then you might decide it's not worth it, or you didn't, or maybe you solve it and then we're good to go. You can keep going.
That's a really cool concept of, as you go through the process, you can continually figure out at each step if you want to keep going or if you want to make a change. I think many of us get to where we think, well, I'm in this, and then we just have to ride it out till whatever conclusion it is, whether it's a good one or a horribly terrible one. And and you're like, no, every time you hit a new phase, you get the choice of, do you want to keep going on this path, or do we need to revise things, or do we need to go back and start over with a different product or a different concept or a changed design? I think that's really valuable information of, you don't have to be trapped on this one experience or this one path or this one product. You can change it anytime.
Yeah.
Even looking bigger, we don't have to be trapped in this one career or one business or one whatever. We can change it anytime. We just have to decide to go back to the drawing board, or just make a tweak.
Yes, so it's that parallel concept of like you just described, that it could be any area of your life. The same the same concept applies. It's true for this, what I do for people, and it's true for anything else you want to pursue.
That's really cool. Really cool. Anything else you would offer for us, as far as if we're thinking somebody's got a project, they're just like, oh, I really want to make that thing, or they've got this concept. What's the first best step to, if they're thinking about getting going on something?
So I think that I have a big kind of interest in risk. I guess you could say risk management. And so that I think we make those kind of decisions about, and this is also one of those things that ties into life decisions, and it ties into what I do. So as far as what I do, though, I want to help people that are that risk determination is an important one. So if you're in a situation where you've got money that you can afford to risk some money, and then if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out, and you're like, okay, well, I tried it out, and that was that. If you are say you're in an industry that you're already, maybe you're already selling other things, okay, and then you say, I know people that buy these things, whatever it is. I don't want to put let's just say, oh, here, I have a tape measure here. So maybe I sell tape measures, and I say, I think people would really like, this is a 20-foot or whatever it is. I think people would need a 50-foot. And then, you know, I've already got customers who buy this one. So I know that if I try to sell them a 50-foot, there's a good chance there'll be at least some of them are going to want that thing. So that's not very risky because you know you've already got customers, you've got, you probably have channels for selling the product and everything. So that's you're not stretching too far to sell something that's a little bit different. If you are in a different industry, you're selling bottled water, and then you want to get into the tape measure business, well, you can do that, but now you got to find customers that are those people that buy from the bottled water from you right now. Are they going to want the tape measures, or are you going to have to find a whole new set of customers for the tape measure? So these are some of the examples of risk calculations that if you can, I'd rather people do things that are not risky and still produce benefits of making new products and getting them out there. So I try to give those questions to people to answer, and that helps them to kind of realize where they're at with the risk determination.
Yeah.
So like whether it's money or how far off you're going from your main path that you're on already. I think those answering those questions helps you to decide if it's what you're doing, is it risky or not.
I like that idea. I like
Yeah.
it. Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. This has been really great.
I'm glad you enjoyed it. I enjoyed the experience with talking with you and answering your questions.
Absolutely. If you would like to get in contact with Mike, you can send him an email at mike@newproductcreations.com, or you can give him a call, 918-641-4755. Thank you as well to all of our listeners and viewers. I'm your host, Camille Diaz. This show is sponsored by Serenity Financial, a Five Rings financial agency specializing in financial education, living benefits, and guaranteed lifetime income. So Mike gave us today's money mantra, or at least the concept for it. So I'm going to give you the mantra and then let him kind of explain the thinking behind it. Today's money mantra is, my assets make me money. Mike, what is an asset?
So, okay, well, I get a lot of that where I hear people talk about their assets, like they have a car or their house or something like that. And I want people to make sure they are clear on that, because to me, an asset is something that makes you money. So to me, it's like what I do for people, help them create products. Those are things that are going to make them money. And that's what I consider asset. Something that doesn't make you money, I would not call it an asset. So that's a little clarification on that.
Yeah, I love that. And like the examples that you mentioned, your house and your car, unless you're selling it and making a profit, then that's not making you money most of the time. We're typically putting in money for repairs or maintenance or whatever on our house and cars. So even though, like you mentioned to me before, they might be valuable in that you really love them or they were expensive, they're not an asset until you've made some money off of it.
Yeah.
Perfect. So the mantra again, my assets make me money. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, Camille.